Good morning from Twin Creek MetroPark on a very typical brown Ohio winter day.
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay though. We really like hiking this time of year because while it's not necessarily as pretty, you do get things like a lot more access. You can see critters. We've seen quite a few deer this morning.
Yes.
And usually you have these places all to yourself, which we have totally had so far through sunrise. It's supposed to be a pretty cloudy day.
Yep.
So I don't know how much I'm going to stop for photography or anything, but we're looking forward to doing the Orange Loop, which should be about 6.2 miles. Now, you may notice we're both sporting some pretty bright colors on our head. In Ohio, I've mentioned this in other videos, we're not hunters, so we don't keep track of hunting season, but we're here in the pew 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 pew.
Yes.
So we know there's stuff. I actually think it might be a few days left of deer season. I don't know, and we never know whether there is or is not hunting
allowed
in a nature preserve or even a park. And even if there's not in those specific areas, a lot of times there's public land that butts right up to it where people do hunt. So anyway, we try to, well, frankly, keep from getting shot. And yeah, so we sport our colors. Anyway, we're going to get back to hiking. We'll tell you all about the trail and show it to you in B-roll, as well as any other photos or anything that I take. And then, yeah, we'll catch up in a bit. All right, well, just a quick check-in. We are right about halfway, at least as far as the trail goes. We're at the northern trailhead, which is nice. There's a little pavilion, another portage on here, and we've noticed both of the ones down in the south where we parked and this one, they're pretty well maintained. And that gives you an opportunity, whether you start at the north or whether you start at the south, to go ahead and pack a lunch or stop at the picnic tables and take a little bit of a break. Now, the way we came up was a more direct route. So we're only about 2.6, 2.7 miles in of the 6.2. The way back from here, at least the way we're going, has more switchbacks. Now, there's not directionality, it just happens to be the way we chose when we went to do this. So far it's been a lovely hike. It's a mix of sort of thatchy young woods, a little bit of mature stuff down by the water, and it opens up occasionally into some prairie. I think we're going to see a lot more prairie on our way back, but I don't know that. So anyway, we're going to take off on that back half right now. All right, well, we're back to the car, and before I jump into our final thoughts and everything on the trail, I wanted to make a quick note and just mostly make those of you who are already subscribed aware that I'm going to be doing some rebranding of the channel.
Yep.
I'm not changing the content or anything I do with it. I just really want to make it more, I want to rebrand it more to be inclusive of you, because you have become so much a part of the channel, but also be a little more descript on the type of things that we want to continue doing with the channel. So it's, while photography is a passion that drives us towards a lot of our travel, it's not everything. We actually much prefer sharing travel and about days like this where we're out hiking and exploring. So if you've enjoyed the video or you find what we're fixing to talk about on this trail useful, please give us a subscribe, and then you'll go ahead and ride through that rebranding and naming. Again, I'm not going to change the content, just really the name and sort of the way it looks. So look forward to that in the future. So now, general thoughts on, where are we? I forgot. Twin
Creek
MetroPark. So yeah, so what's your general thoughts on the Orange Trail, which is what we did?
Nice. It was a very, there was a lot of options. Prairie, trees, forest, hill. It was a good mix. That was the word.
Yeah, I agree completely. It was, while there were places where there was quite a bit of thatch and sort of the normal messy Ohio woods, there was little breaks. There was sort of areas that were really in close, but it kind of made a neat tunnel, and then it would open up and you're in a prairie. There was some mature trees, there was some creeks and water crossing and everything. It's advertised on the map we found later. All trails that I used to scout this called it 6.2 miles. The map calls it 6, and we ended up with 6.5. So I think All Trails is probably right at 6.2. We always end up with a little bit more mileage getting the B-roll, walking back and forth on the trail and doing things like that. We
and
always
offshoots.
Just kind of poking around and looking at what things are like. All right, Alana, overall conditions.
Actually pretty good right now. There was a couple little muddy spots, but otherwise it was pretty good, easy to walk through.
Yeah, I agree. It other than really 2 spots where we took on this orange loop from the south end and then went counterclockwise. I would recommend a counterclockwise direction, whether you started at the north or the south, just because there are 2 uphills on the east side, if that makes sense as you're looking at it. I'll throw a map up
there,
but really where you're going uphill very steeply, there's a lot of roots and there's a little bit of spots, and that's really the only place that I would call
definitely better up than down.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
All right, difficulty,
I'd say this was a really pretty easy trail, again with the exception of those 2 spots, and even there I'd only go to moderate. They're really short. It's kind of good to get your heart rate up, especially when it's cold. If you started on the north, it'd be nice for that. Other than that, very well signed and very well maintained trails. So even the spots where there would be water crossings or things like that,
there's stones.
It'd have to be really rainy, I think, before it was a problem where you would have to worry about muck boots or waterproof stuff or anything like that. All right, so friendliness.
It is pet friendly, on a leash. Friendly family, keeping in mind your own child's capability. It is a length. It's 6 miles.
Like the pets, if your kid needs a leash, those 2 spots we were talking about might be tricky, just because it really does get kind of narrow and steep. And there was some B-roll on it, so I'm sure you got a good feeling for at least one of those 2 locations.
Photography.
Yeah, photography, I would give this like a 1 star, only because, well, I think if you wanted to do birding or something like that, you could probably have a lot here in those prairie regions. I think this would be a really cool place to visit in the winter. I think
snow.
I mean, it's winter now, and this is what most of our winter looks like. But if we had a good snow I think that prairie land where some of that grass was could really turn into something pretty unique. I could see myself revisiting for that. But overall, I mean, I took some photos. You've already seen those. Nothing spectacular. Mostly macro-y, detail type stuff. Just me tinkering around. All right, so the ultimate question. Would you revisit again?
Yes, you could actually string together quite a few, and actually just found out that it links to the Germantown trail system. It's actually called the Twin Valley Trail System, and they have backcountry campsites, so you can do multi-days.
I agree. While I recommended counterclockwise, I think this trail has potential to be completely different the other way around.
Yeah.
So if it was dry and you were willing to walk down those steep hills,
Yeah.
I think it could have a total different vibe to
Yes.
it. And you could also crisscross to mix
Yep.
up mileage in a
Yep.
lot of places as well. So
Yes.
it's absolutely a cool little place to visit. I would recommend it for
Yes,
a day
definitely.
hike in Southern Ohio.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you next week, next time, sometime. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.